Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Toronite and this is Pokemon TCG, the trading card game for the Game Boy Color back in 1998, where it was a much simpler time. It was a time where you didn't have Pokemon with 300 and 400 HP. Back in those days, 50 HP was more than enough. So now we are going to be doing an any percent glitchless run, and I'm very excited to show this off. I know a lot of people love this game from back in their childhood, but maybe have never seen a speed run of this game. So now we are. I'm very excited to show this off, and now we are. Before we do, let's name our character or protagonist, and what better name to give him than just SGES, because they were more than gracious enough to give me the opportunity to showcase this run in this game. And with that, we are ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, so Pokemon TCG. So as I mentioned, this game came out in 1998. It was based off the first three sets of this game that came out in the real world at the time: base set, fossil, and jungle. So just only a little over 200 cards on here. If you've never seen how the Pokemon trading card game functions, especially back in those days, it looks a little bit different than what you may think of your prototypical Pokemon experience. There's 7 Pokemon types in this game, only 7, not, it doesn't reach quite the double digits up to this point. So the only Pokemon types are grass, fire, water, psychic, lightning, fighting, and colorless. Colorless is essentially the equivalent of normal types and flying types. And a little mistake there. Yeah, so we're basically going through this like very lengthy tutorial that is not something that we want to kind of go for the entire experience. So I know I said this was an any percent glitchless run, but I'm gonna show off one glitch, just one glitch that I think is really cool for people who have never seen a speed run of this game. You'll never see this on a glitchless run, but on marathon runs, we like to have a little bit of fun, and we like to show off what this game is capable of being. So without further ado, so you're gonna see how this game, at least the initial portion, goes. So essentially the way Pokemon TCG works is you have a team of Pokemon, you got your basic Pokemon, and then any Pokemon that has an evolutionary form, they are called, stage 1 if it evolves 1, stage 2 if it gets to that final evolution, like say a Charizard or a Blastoise, like those are considered stage 2s. What we are trying to deal with is basically trying to win the game, not having to evolve as many Pokemon as we can, although there are going to be a couple of win conditions Pokemon that we would like to use via evolution, mainly Dugtrio. So we'll get into the trio much later on in the run. Once we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So the way this game works is you assemble a team of Pokemon and you use energy cards to basically be able to attack. The only way to win, there are 3 ways to win. But before we get to that, let me see if I can do this dual escape. Let's see if this at least. Just practicing this. So what I'm trying to do is trying to I don't know why it's kind of not. So what I'm trying to do essentially is a glitch called dual escape, and it's not working. I don't know why. And anyway, well, unfortunately, hopefully maybe I'll show it off later on. But essentially, the whole point of the run of the trick is we basically try to make certain button presses at the exact same time. And once we do, the game kind of goes into a bit of like a memory overflow state. And once it does do that, it will essentially go into the victory screen, the dual victory screen, and you can essentially win duels just by doing that. So unfortunately, did not start out as well as possible. Let me see if I can try it just a little bit more, because it is a nice little trick, and I don't want to go through this entire tutorial. And the tutorial, it is not. It is. And it's funny because There we go. Okay, there we go. It can be a little bit tricky when you know, sometimes the timing is not exactly great, but we got that is dual escape. You can actually do the entire, you can actually beat the entire game just by doing that little trick. We actually have a category for that called any percent no ace. So that is, so you basically just go through the duel just essentially doing that. And we actually have 3 starter decks based on the Kanto starters, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander. And we are going to go for Bulbasaur. And I will explain to you why Bulbasaur is such a great deck. All 3 decks, I think, in my opinion, are great. But I love Bulbasaur the most. And we will definitely get to explaining sort of everything as we go throughout the run. It's a very high action, high pace speed run. And first, we are going to do another really cool deal in this game, which is a nice little trick called mail manipulation. So the way this game operates is that there is a global frame rule that is basically dictating everything, whether it's coin flips and what cards your opponent draws, what booster pack rewards you get, and including this thing that we're about to do. See if we actually timed this out right. Yes, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so basically, as I was saying, this game is dictated by that global frame rule. And by doing so, we can, depending on what we are trying to achieve, we can actually figure out what booster pack, what cards we're going to get from certain booster packs. At the start of the game, you get a free Coliseum booster pack, which is the best booster pack in the entire game when it comes to the speed run. And what I am trying to, let's see, do I have everything? Yes. So we are good, and we're gonna first meet our rival Ronald right there. And that is Mitch. We'll basically get to him in just a little bit. But basically, the way this works is that if you're able to figure out the exact frame of what you want to try to pull, you can essentially get almost any card you want, provided you know what that frame, when you hit that read mail option in the Mason Laboratory, provides you. And the community over the years have discovered a bevy of information that is really, really good to know, including the booster pack rewards that you get from that first mail pack that you get. Coliseum has a lot of fantastic cards, such as the Trio, Scyther, Electabuzz, Plus Power, and Computer Surge, which is what we ultimately ended up getting. And the way that I did it, this particular mail manipulation, which is the name of the trick that we call this, we're gonna reset this, is that Computer Search basically allows you to get any single card in your deck and add it to your hand, provided you discard 2 cards from your hand first off. And now we're gonna see our very first look into Pokemon TCG. And we're gonna reset again. That's the cool thing about this game also, is that if you get some really some unfortunate matchups, is that you can essentially reset the fight at almost no penalty in terms of time, because if you're kind of seeing everything is flying by so quickly that you really don't have to worry about, you know, man, if I reset this fight, it's not gonna come out super great, then unfortunately we have to reset again. So this is our first fight, Jennifer. Jennifer is very, very annoying because she has a flying Pikachu and she resists fighting type Pokemon, which is a great transition into how we want to. Oh wow, flying Pikachu again. This is a really loving that marathon lock right here with Jennifer. So the way Pokemon type matchups work is that we have 7 types, as I had mentioned. The way the game kind of operates in terms of weaknesses and resistances actually is a little bit different than what you are accustomed to. The way this game works is that every Pokemon, or I should say most Pokemon, have a weakness and a resistance, and a type that they resist. The thing is, it's not necessarily dependent on the type. It's actually specific to the Pokemon. So let's say you have a Pokemon, a lightning Pokemon such as Pikachu. He's weak to fighting, but then you take flying Pikachu, he actually resists fighting. And so when we're basically doing this deck, in doing this run, we have to take every single individual matchup into consideration before we figure out our plan of attack. And so we want to try to get Jennifer out the way first, or at least early on, I should say, because especially in a marathon, because she is a very annoying fight as you had just witnessed. So now, as I was kind of going back to the way you actually win in this duel, in this game, is that there are essentially three ways to win in this duel. You can either, and this method that no one will ever actually do so in a speedrun, or at least, lest you want a slow run, is that you can basically have your opponent run out of cards, which it's incredibly slow. So we're going to rely on the other two methods of winning. The two methods of winning that we want to focus on in the speedrun is either knocking out all of your opponent's Pokemon before they collect a prize, or collecting all of your prizes. Prizes are cards from your deck that you kind of placed at the start of the duel that you kind of note that I'll kind of point to in just a second. And the way the prize system works is that you knock out a Pokemon and you collect a prize. The first person to collect all of their prizes in a duel wins. However, if you knock out all of your opponent's Pokemon that they have in play before you collect your last prize, then you don't have to, then you're actually not worried about, then you don't have to worry about having to collect all your prizes because your opponent ran out of Pokemon. And so that's essentially the main way we want to try to win this duel, is through basically collecting all of your Pokemon, beating all of your opponent's Pokemon before you get to the prize. Most fights are 4 prizes. There's a couple that are, there's 2 fights, one that is 3 prizes long and one that is 2 prizes long. All boss fights are 6 prizes. They all have their own unique little music. And that's another cool thing. This game has phenomenal music, I should say. It's incredibly good to listen to throughout the run. And the cool thing about this game also is the overworld. The overworld is very, very small, or rather, travel to different places around the world, around the overworld, is very, very quick. So you never have to worry about having to go like a certain area first just because you can't, just because it looks far away. You can go to any place you want. However, every single, most bosses in this fight kind of have like a little requirement to be able to challenge them down the line. And we got the trio and a second electabuzz. This is good. We had kind of had a very funny start with the first fight of the game, Jennifer, but we've actually been able to stabilize this very, very nicely. But yeah, so essentially we want to, so the whole thing about the bosses is that a lot of these fights, they're essentially, what we are doing is fulfilling the requirements in order to challenge them down the road. And do we have a plus power? We do not, unfortunately. So yeah, so the reason why we have Hitmonchan is that Hitmonchan is a very powerful Pokemon back in 1998. Is that he has 70 HP, which is quite a lot, like I said, back in the day. And a lot of the Pokemon in this early game that we have in this route, they are weak to Hitmonchan. So and Hitmonchan also packs quite a punch, no pun intended, with his jab and his special punch. So now, this will be our first real, actually hard fight, not like Jennifer annoying, but like a genuinely tough fight. So we'll see how this one goes. But yeah, Hitmonchan has a lot of powerful moves, a lot of great qualities for like the very start of a run. And the cool thing about it is that, okay, this is fine. And the cool thing about Hitmonchan is just this overall ability to just knock so many Pokemon. Wow, you have... Michael really wants to keep that Magmar healthy. Thankfully, we have a plus power, which adds us an extra 10 damage to our next attack, which is super vital in an era where we only need... where Pokemon with 50 HP and 70 HP that's really not a lot, especially with the attacks that we are able to do on to our opponent. And oops, accidental double input. We'll go into that little house much later into the run, like closer to the very end of the run actually. But now we're actually gonna just, after this fight, we got one more fight, and then we'll encounter our very first actual boss of the game. Not like a hard fight for what it is back at, like for a non-boss fight. Boss fights actually, and the cool thing about bosses is that bosses actually have very interesting AI. And by that I mean the AI cheats. The AI loves to cheat, especially with, ooh, I forgot to attach an energy. So we'll get into cheating boss AI in just a second, once we actually get there. We're actually gonna go for but before we get to our first boss fight, we're gonna go to a fight that is supremely difficult. Even though they are not classified as a boss fight, we in the speedrun community do classify it as a boss fight virtually. So the way it works in this particular setup is that we have this trainer, Amanda. Amanda has, first of all, she is a trainer from the Water Club. Keep that in mind, Water Club. But then her ace is, she has two aces, Scyther and Wigglytuff, neither of whom are actually, you know, water type Pokemon. And ooh, this is actually good. Go for and hope that we get the right matchup. Well, actually, we'll see. We'll see how the type we'll see what she has on the bench. Okay, we're gonna tentatively switch out. Yeah, but you see the, oh, there you saw the Wigglytuff. So the reason why we actually have two Pokemon, two different types of Pokemon on our deck is that, well, there's a Scyther. Okay. This is interesting. I think this is actually worth a reset. That's a very dicey fight, and I'm not sure I would have won. I'm not sure it's worth kind of keeping that fight alive. So we got two Scythers. That is good to know. And if she doesn't heal, this actually might be a win for us. Well, still fine. This is still fine. Do we have a second plus power? We do not. So we want to try to see if we can save that plus power for later. And that was unfortunate. But we have this. Okay, there's another Poliwag. And yeah, this is just going to be a war of attrition between Poliwags and Scythers. The reason why we go for this hybrid setup is that Poliwag can be taken down by both Charmander and... Ooh, okay. Do we have another plus power? We don't. So this will be interesting to kind of figure out. Okay. No, we actually won this. We just won this duel. Yeah, Amanda's quite tough. Scyther can be taken down by Charmander, but Scyther resists Hitmonchan. So we can't go for a Hitmonchan only strat. That's the unfortunate part. However, Charmander can take down Scyther, but Charmander a lot of times can have a difficult fight against Poliwag, which is where Hitmonchan enters the fold. So now we're just, it was essentially a coin flip trying to figure out, okay, am I getting a Charmander versus Scyther? Am I getting Hitmonchan versus Poliwag and Jigglypuff? It's a very delicate balance to combat. And the thing with and this is really more of a marathon safety strat. There is actually a way to manipulate the fight to where you actually don't need Charmander, but I would kind of call that somewhat marathon unsafe at this moment. Although we are actually in the process, or not we, Pinecone 606, who is number 2 on the leaderboard in any percent glitchless in this category, she's doing some phenomenal research work into trying to figure out, okay, what if are there frames that if we can just start the fight at a certain time window or a certain frame window, and this is gonna be quite the conundrum. So the deal with boss AI is that every boss in this game, no matter what, they will. Actually, no, I'm not gonna. Not sword stance slash. Just in case I get leered again. Okay. Alright, everything seems to kind of calm down just a little bit. Every boss in this game will always, and I mean always, have two basic Pokemon in their hand. So, in a way, their decks are manipulated in a way that it is impossible throughout the course of the main run of this game being for the main course of this run being something where, ooh, am I fortunate? So I'm just gonna go sword stance on here. So you can never actually beat an opponent, a boss in this game, 1 versus 1. That's kind of the unfortunate part, that you can't pull it off against like these club masters, which is essentially this game's version of gym leaders. And finally, we get our first medal, which is the main objective of this game before challenging to become the champion. We have these things called master medals, and the way the master medals work is that you have each club has a medal that you have to beat the boss to acquire. Most bosses in this game have a prerequisite to basically fulfill before you get to challenge. Gene actually is the only one in this entire game that has no prerequisite. We can actually challenge him whenever we want, and he's typically one of the first bosses we fight in this game. Now, we are going to go for... Let's see. There we go. Now, we're going to go for the Water Club next. But before we do, we are actually making a pit stop here at the Science Club. You heard that right. And yes, there are that few Pokemon types in the TCG that they actually had to make up a Pokemon type. And that is the Science Club. And we are actually, and of course, being the Science Club, we are going to be fighting against someone whose whole theme for the deck is birds and flying type Pokemon. Pay no mind to the fact that this Zubat is not a flying type. He is actually a grass type Pokemon. Don't worry about it. Okay, ooh, this is actually a great example. Okay, so that coin flip was going to be tails. So what we are going to do is manipulate the RNG so that we can get Electabuzz's Thunder Punch attack to land heads. The cool thing about this game is that frame rules really do dictate everything. However, there is a way to manipulate those frames in to our advantage. So, as I said at the start of the run, the entire game, or almost every aspect of the game, is dictated by the frame rule. The cool thing about it is that kind of doesn't apply in most cases to the duel, because during duels, the frames are actually paused. So when we find out the result of a certain action, unless something manipulates the frame that unfreezes it to the next frame, that coin flip or whatever that action ends up being will always work. So that coin flip that I initially got tails, if you restarted that turn, I can guarantee you, if you do nothing different about that turn and the way you set it up, that coin flip will always go tails every single time. There's kind of a backyard rumor back in the old days where if you, and this was on like even on internet forums and everything, like if you look up back in the day, like Pokemon TCG cheat codes, of which there are none, you actually have a, you actually get to see like one quote unquote cheat code is that, oh, if you press A when the coin is at a certain like image, it will always go heads. And I can dispel that rumor. That's untrue. That's not true. It's completely RNG based. However, as I stated, if you have, actually no, I'm gonna see how she tackles this turn, because I may or may not alter things. Okay, if I get that Squirtle, there we go. Okay, so now we kind of know what is going on. That coin flip is gonna go heads, but after my coin flip went tails. So now we're essentially passing the buck on the coin flip, on the coin flip that lands tails, and having it land on heads on our turn. So you kind of saw, first coin flip was tails, second coin flip was heads. So instead, we made it so the Squirtle gets the first coin flip being tails, and I get the second coin flip being heads. Ooh, so let's see if we can get this a quick win. Ah, unfortunate. Okay, so that coin flip is landing tail. So let's see if that also, yep. Oh my god, this lightning segment is phenomenal. This is one of the best lightning segments I've had in quite some time. That entire segment through the lightning, for the water club and through the science club with an Electabuzz, that took us not even 5 minutes. That is really, really good. Okay, so now that we got our second medal, we will, one, say goodbye to Electabuzz. Chat, say goodbye to Electabuzz. He was very, very good in this portion of the run. I could not have asked anything better of Electabuzz. So, what we're going to do now is we are going to encounter our rival. Ronald appears after two master medals have been acquired. And so now we have this Magnemite explosion, Magnemite strategy, where he has self-destruct, and it's an incredibly powerful move that basically knocked out a lot of his Pokemon, but more importantly, it knocks our own Pokemon. Here's the thing, Ronald doesn't know how to play the game. Like, actually doesn't really know how to play the game, or rather doesn't know how to build a deck and actually be good with it. So we kind of give him a lending hand and kind of push the story along a little bit faster, just to kind of make sure that we don't have to worry about time being wasted. The cool thing, the nice thing about this game in the Ronald fights is that story progression is not affected based on the result of those fights against Ronald. The only thing that happens if you beat Ronald is you get a rare card that, like, it's not even good in the context of a speedrun. Okay, so that is good to know. So you kind of saw right there, I used Energy Search, which allows us to get an energy card. That's not why I went for the Energy Search. The reason why I went for Energy Search is because it allows us to scout ahead our Pokemon, our deck, and whatever the top card is, and in descending order, that's going to be the order of cards that we are going to acquire. And ooh, this is really, really nice. We actually might not even need the we're actually not going to need the Pokeball, believe it or not. So we have where's their trio? All right, this is our handy dandy the trio, which is essentially going to be the win condition for a lot of these fights throughout the rest of the speed run, especially the end game on the last 4 fights of the game. Last 4 fights of the game, it's going to be a pure Duck Trio party, and this little segment is also going to be all Duck Trio. Well, no, mostly Duck Trio, and a little bit of Hitmonchan thrown in there. You'll see, and not this fight, but the next fight is we're going to see our buddy Hitmonchan for the last time. We got 3 Master Medals. This little section of the run, route-wise, is really, really nice because you get to take down 3 bosses, all like one after the other, with essentially the same deck, with a Duck Trio deck. And the cool thing about, and the nice thing about Ken He's got a lot. He's the leader of the Fire Club, but man, he loves spamming colorless Pokemon, which is great because a lot of us are also Ooh, might have to reset this fight. Yeah, we're gonna reset. Again, we're likely gonna lose that duel, that fight, so better to reset than not have to worry about the future. Okay, loving this. Do we get that Coinflip Land's tail? That's fine. That's fine. We're not in any danger right now. So we're just gonna wait until Murray. That's also a tail, so we're just gonna... So we know that the next coin... Oops, I forgot to attack. That is... Oopsie poopsie. Don't worry about it. That is, we almost... Again, cool thing about this game is that you can restart... Oh, okay. Now, see, this is what I was talking about with the AI cheating. The AI loves to cheat to high heaven. That coin flip was supposed to be a tails, but unfortunately, the AI decided, well, not really. Sometimes the AI likes to arbitrarily... This is unbelievable. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna be... I'm gonna not deal with that, Chansey. Yeah, what I mean by the AI cheats, this is what I mean. That Chansey has a move called Scrunch, where what it does, if you flip a coin and it lands heads, I forgot to do Earthquake, not Slash. If you flip a coin and it lands heads, your opponent cannot attack you. Or rather, he can try to attack you, but it will not be effective. It will be impervious to all damage. Even secondary effects like paralysis, sleep, poison, unaffected. So, Chansey is one of the most annoying Pokemon in the game. And we want to try to see if we can avoid... Wow, this is really unlucky. Okay, so let's see if we can get something called an energy removal. Do we have an energy? We do not, unfortunately. Energy removal, as the name states, it removes energy from your opponent. And the opponent has probably now have like... That was like 6 straight heads landing in his face. 7! Oh, this game. This game just loves to troll sometimes with the bosses. Do I hear 8? Oh my goodness. All right. You know what? Let's keep this party rolling. Let's see how long... well, never mind. Now that I was trying to like put the pressure on the AI to keep those heads going, of course it just stops. Yeah, no, that's kind of the unfortunate part with these Chansey, is that these Chanseys loves to stall. It's a big old stall fest with some of these fights. Now, and funny enough, we're actually gonna go into another potential stall fest in Murray. If you thought dealing with like 1 Chansey is annoying, how about 2? How about a Snorlax? How about Kangaskhan while we're at it? Murray is the leader of the Psychic Club, but like Ken, he has a certain affinity for Pokemon that are not Psychic type. So we're just essentially gonna hope for the best in this one as well. The reason why we're adding Hitmonchan on here is that for one Pokemon in particular, Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is a Pokemon, and there it is. Knew it. That's actually great. That's actually great that he already has the Mime out. So we are just gonna hope and see if he takes the bait. What do we have? Okay, this is gonna be this will be interesting. I'm curious to see how I'm gonna play this. Okay. Oh, he's got 2 Mr. Mimes. This is that's a problem. That could be a potential problem. So Mr. Mime has a Pokemon ability called Invisible Wall. Any damage, any attack that does more than 20 damage will automatically be turned into 0. So we can't do like the special punch. We can't do like Earthquake with Duck Trio. It has to be something that does 20 damage and only 20 damage to be able to take it out in 2 turns. All right, no need for the average. Okay, so it looks like... Okay, this is actually going There's no evolution. We have a full heal to deal with any potential paralysis. All right, now we can see what it takes out. Beautiful. Okay, no Kangaskhan. Do I have a plus power? No, but I have a Gust of Wind. Gust of Wind, what it does, it blows away your opponent's active Pokemon and switches it out with any Pokemon you choose. So, wow, this is interesting. Wow, this could have been a little bit dicey. Murray didn't exactly play this very well, but we'll take the win. We'll take a nice Murray victory, given how annoying Ken was in the previous fight. We'll happily take a decent Murray. So now that we have 5, it's time to see our good old friend Ronald again. Ronald, in this particular version, is also equally as bad at playing the game of Pokemon TCG as he was in the last one. However, there is one unique quirk about this fight. The one thing about this fight is Ronald has energy removal. And the reason why we have psychic energy type psychic cards, oops, that's not what I want, is that Ronald has energy removal. And for Magnemite, if we put a lightning energy on Magnemite first, and he has energy removal, he will automatically play it. However, for some strange reason, if we put a non-lightning energy on the Magnemite, it actually doesn't use it for whatever bizarre reason. So that's the reason why we put like 50%, like 50-50 energy with lightning and non-lightning. All right, so now we're going into the psychic portion, the psychic deck portion of the run, which will essentially be we're actually, well, I don't want to say we're close, but we're well into the second half of the run already. And we kind of want to see what our deck looks like. We have Mysterious Fossil, which is great as a kind of a decoy type of Pokemon to be able to combat what Murray has, or at least replenish our hand. Murray's the leader of the fighting club. Murray's deal is that you have to, not only do you have to talk to him at the start of the run, you also have to beat all of his underlings before you have the right to challenge him. A lot of these bosses, what they do is they require you to fight their like club trainers before you have the right to challenge him. And Mitch can be quite annoying in the sense of, if you do not go first, especially with a Mewtwo deck, if you don't go first, you kind of run the risk of him ganging up on you and essentially trying to attack and do a lot of damage, or at least a lot of chip damage early on. And this is a little dicey. What is okay, I think we're fine so long as it doesn't add anything else to if Hitmonlee, which shouldn't be a problem. The way I'm hoping. Okay, perfect. He brings out the Hitmonlee, brings out another Hitmonlee, which is also great. Okay, no, we're good. Yeah, that's kind of the awkward part with Mewtwo. And the alternative would have been to use a Kadabra deck, which it's not bad, but it's also kind of both run into risk of, if you don't go first and you don't have the jump on Mitch, he's gonna do a lot of damage slowly throughout the battle, and it's a question of who goes down first, your Mewtwo or Kadabra, or all of his Pokemon. But thankfully, we went first, and his Hitmonlee requires 3 attacks to be 3 energy cards, which means it takes 3 turns to be able to set up a Hitmonlee just to be able to do damage on your lead Pokemon. So now we're on to the science leader, and now you get to see what science Pokemon actually refers to. And once you actually kind of see the deck, you'll kind of understand, okay, that kind of makes sense. So we have a Kadabra in our hand, which is actually perfect. Now the question will be, will we have enough cards to be able to... Okay, what does he have on the... Okay, he has a Grimer, so we have a go plus power to essentially knock out Grimer already. But I'm hoping that our next card is a perfect. Ah, beautiful. This is like close to like the best Rick I've ever had. We're just going to evolve our Abra into Kadabra, which is the neat thing about evolution in, at least in the TCG, or at least back then. If you have like confusion or paralysis or poison inflicted on your Pokemon, if you evolve it, it acts essentially as a free full heal, and you get to deal, don't have to deal with your with the paralysis, with the status condition that you have. So that was great. No, that was really, really good. Yeah, no, this run has actually, despite the kind of the awkward fight with Jennifer and Ken, this run has been going along very swimmingly. So I'm very, very thankful that I get to showcase this game and been able to also be able to have people's kind of, if this is their first interaction with Pokemon TCG, I'm glad that it is through a good run of this game. So let's see. Brittany's kind of an awkward fight because she has, her entire deck is kind of like a bit of an Island of Misfit Toys situation. So she has one of every type of Pokemon in the game, which you would think like, oh man, she has so many different Pokemon. She does a lot of type coverages. In the card game, it's not actually a good thing to be having so many different Pokemon types. Ooh, this could actually be dicey. Only dicey if it's... Oh no, are we gonna lose? No, never mind. That Jinx could have knocked us out if that second coin flip had landed heads, but never mind, we're good. But yeah, that was it for the Kadabra portion of the deck. Yeah, Kadabra is kind of like the best option against Brittany. It knocks out almost all of her Pokemon with one attack. But yeah, it is kind of difficult to combat Brittany because you essentially have to come in with the idea that you're going to be having to collect all 4 of your prizes in order to win. But, you know, it is how it is. It is what it is. So now, we're actually, believe it or not, we only have 7 fights left in the run. Only 7. But don't worry, the last 5 fights collectively are going to be incredibly long. So I'm hoping that these next couple of fights are... Ooh, wait. Beautiful. So, we just won on the first turn. Oh, this is great. So Ponyta has a move that does 20 damage with just any 2 Pokemon cards, 2 energy cards. Thankfully, in the game, we have something called double colorless energy. What that does is it's a single card that acts as if you're including 2 energy cards on it. And thankfully, with Kristen, who we just beat, she has Pokemon that is capable of going down to that move from Ponyta. And that's essentially what we were trying to get. And we got the absolute optimal fight against her. Now, this is actually our last fight, who can be annoying because her deal is dealing with a lot of status. This could actually be quite difficult. We have a full heal, I believe. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem. Yes, we have a full heal. We have Defender, which basically acts as a free 20 HP shield. So we have full heal, and potion. We're now back to full health. What does she have? Okay. She's focusing on the execute, which means she's gonna put us to sleep. But that does not matter. Yeah, whenever you see kind of that execute, it could be one of 2 things. She's either going to try to inflict sleep status on you, or she is going to actually... she's actually going to try to evolve into Executor, which is not a real big threat against a Magmar. And with that, that is our 8th and final Master Medal. So now we're going to go into the Pokemon Dome, which essentially is the Pokemon League of TCG. Like, we see the Elite Four and the Champion, and in this game, I mean, they're not called the Elite Four, they are just called the Grandmasters. They have unique cards that have never been printed for real life use, And you're kind of going to understand in a second why that is the case. We have 3 Seals and 3 Dugongs. Very, very good. We have a Pokemon Trader, which is also very good. Just taking a look at what our deck looks like right this second. It looks good. Yeah, no, this is like this has actually been a really solid deck. A really, really good deck of cards that we have assembled throughout the run. Which is great, because I initially thought, with that first fight, I thought, oh man, it's going to be one of those types of marathon runs where you're going to be, where it's just me fighting the RNG throughout this game. But honestly, the RNG has been very, very cooperative for the most part in this run. But of course, let's see, we have no energy cards. That's actually really bad. And now we're going to see the game. Ooh, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna have 2 cards. So we have Gust of Wind that's also not gonna. Oh, we have energy removal, so that is fine. Actually, wait, no. I think it would be good to do a little bit of chip damage onto that Magmar. She's got energy removal. That is actually... Nope, we're resetting. That is unfortunate. Of course, I compliment the RNG being nice to me, and of course the RNG decides, well, you know what? Let's not be nice anymore. Since you want to be so complimentary, why should we fight? Why should we get along? Do we have okay, we have an energy search. We have Pokeball. But this is still not a great hand. Okay, there you saw that Moltres for a split second. So Moltres in this game, or no, there's 2 Moltreses, but the one that is exclusive to the TCG video game has a special power where if you play it onto the field, do we have a plus power? We do. So we might as well just use it. If you play that Moltres onto the field, it will always, it will give anywhere from 1 to 4 random fire energy to your hand, which it's kind of dumb that you can just get a bunch of free energy cards at no cost. But thankfully, we have a Dugong, and we have the necessary energy cards to be able to deal with this annoying fire deck. We have this Vulpix. See, hopefully the Vulpix doesn't try to confuse us, but I think we have a full heal, so I don't think it ultimately matters. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. Either full heal. And there we go. That is Courtney. You kind of saw the RNG kind of not being fair there. But now if you want to see unfair, this next fight, actually these next 2 fights really. First off, Steve. As you're kind of taking a notice, these Grandmasters are based on... Their decks are based on the legendary Pokemon of the first generation of games. Or more specifically, the legendary bird Pokemon. So Steve, you're gonna see right there, spoilers, he's got a Zapdos deck. The Zapdos deck is maybe the most unfair when it comes to the RNG. And we just got really lucky with the RNG being in our favor. But we still need to get that Duck Trio out and play. Come on, do we get that Pokeball land heads? It is not. This might be a scenario where we will have to reset. Yeah, we're gonna reset. This fight, this guy... Yeah, the name of the game with Steve is try to get the trio out before that legendary Zapdos appears. So now we're gonna use our trusty energy source. Perfect. That energy search shown us that Duck Trio is within the first 5 cards of the game. And off our deck, I should say. That is fine. Really, not a big deal if we get paralyzed. Thankfully, the Glid also resists lightning for the most part. The only exception being that legendary Zapdo that he has stashed away. So we have... Yeah, we are... Yeah, we're in a good position to try to evolve into Electabuzz. I'm sorry, evolve into Dugtrio. Oh my goodness. It'd be real awkward doing this fight with an Electabuzz. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, so you're kind of noticing like a trend with these Pokemon, with these decks. A lot of high HP, high-powered Pokemon that will try to basically overwhelm you. Thankfully, we have our handy-dandy Dugtrio, which I don't want to say it's not an automatic win condition, but you still can't lose. But the overwhelming majority of fights, you're going to win if you get the Dugtrio out early and your opponent doesn't have much of an opportunity to set up. So now we get paralyzed there. I'm hoping, oh, beautiful. We got full heal right there. All right, that's Steve. Which is a bit of a preview in terms of like the RNG and like needing to have the best possible hand and game state for Jack. Jack? Ooh, this is not a great hand actually. Because we do not have if Oak. Okay, so we're gonna have to wait a turn. That's going to be all right. We'll play this game. Jack is the hardest fight in the game, bar none. So we have a Pokeball. So now we are just going to try to see. We have energy removal and kind of trying to get rid of the Articuno. Jack has a lot of high HP Pokemon such as Chansey, Lapras, Articuno. This is kind of not a great hand. Not a great situation that we are in, but we have with us we have an energy search, so we're just gonna try to see if we can hope to get something in terms of okay, thankfully okay, it looks like Jack's actually having problems finding energy cards. Story of my life. Thankfully, if we are able to essentially get the jump on him with the or unless, ooh, actually, we got Defender, so we can try to do basically shield ourselves for this next Articuno that's about to arrive. And thankfully, okay, thankfully we can heal ourselves, so it's not a big issue, but we technically try to see if we can have a little bit of a gambit with getting a third plus power to try to take out the Articuno in one hit, but didn't quite feel safe. Thankfully, the Lapras. Okay, we are in a really good. I'm actually real happy we actually did not use plus power to overreach and overextend for one fight for a one-hit KO against the Articuno. Because now we have all these Laprases, which are just outside of... Oh my goodness. The RNG, you are... Okay, you're getting really nice. Wow, yeah, wait. You somehow actually played all 4 of your Laprases. That's actually an incredibly rare occurrence. But yeah, thankfully, we actually didn't see that legendary Articuno that he had. That Articuno you saw, that was not the Articuno that I had alluded to earlier, where every ace card has never been printed for real life play. The Articuno that I'm talking about has a ability where once you play it, you flip a coin. If it lands heads, your opponent is automatically paralyzed and you still get to do your turn. This is a little bit this will be interesting. If I can get it something going. Don't have a potion. So let's see. So Rod, his strategy is essentially using nothing but dragon, quote unquote, Pokemon. And ooh, I might have to reset actually. Yeah, we're just not getting the cards that we want. I'm actually gonna... Okay, if the next card I draw is not something that gets us out of this jam... Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. Thankfully, we got out of that jam. Okay, so thankfully, now the question is, will Lapras confuse us? Not this turn, but there's always next turn. But yeah, basically, because Dragon-type Pokemon don't really exist in the TCG, at least at this point in time, and also in Generation 1, there really wasn't such a thing as Dragon-type Pokemon once you got outside of the Dragonite family. They just went for, like, anything that looks remotely Dragon-like or, like, Beast-like. So you see Charmander can evolve to Charizard. Gyarados is also a possible Pokemon that you can see here. So now, that is it for Rod. You're kind of seeing that the trio just kind of sweeps through a lot of these Pokemon. But of course, it's not an automatic win, but we kind of try to manipulate things so that we can try to get that victory. If you played a Generation 1 Pokemon, you played Red, Blue, Yellow, you kind of saw this coming with who the champion was going to be. This fight is very, very annoying. The reason being is that... Is this going to land? It's not going to land heads. So we are going to pass on that coin flip result. Oh, that's actually not great. It's still going to go tails. So now we're going to take a look at the game board. All right, this is kind of a weird. This is weird, but I don't think we have anything to worry about here, actually. Okay, so at first it may seem, oh, does he just have nothing but the evolutions? It's not just that. The other half of his deck is all of the Pokemon. It's all of the legendary Pokemon that we had seen throughout this adventure. So, okay. We have a Gust of Wind. That Dratini, a lot of times what happens, if you kind of see a Dratini get double colorless energy, more often than not, what happens is... Well, there's the Articuno that I was talking about earlier. That Articuno... Oh, this is... We actually were going to lose, but thankfully we have Defender. So, even if we get knocked out now, not going to be a big issue. So yeah, so now that quick attack, instead of doing 30 damage, is going to do 10 damage because Defender blocks 20 of that damage. All right, we are... Ooh, this is getting really nice. I'm assuming that this will not be the end of it. Okay, so here's actually a really funny thing. Articuno is water type. And Zapdos is lightning type. Guess what energy they require? Water and lightning. Ronald does not have water and lightning energy throughout in his entire deck, so Articuno and Zapdos do not do anything. And because he is such a terrible, terrible player of this game, we are going to just sweep him with one deck trio and take away all of his cards. And we are actually about to call time in just a second. We're gonna see to the victor goes the spoils. There's the Dragonite that, trust me, in a speedrun, you will almost never see because it's a two-stage evolution. And so, and here we go. 57:42. That's a spectacular time, I will say. This was a really, really good run. The late game, the end game was not the cleanest, but overall, this is, by the way, this is maybe one of the fastest runs in a marathon setting ever. It's like maybe one of the 3 fastest marathon runs of all time. Thankfully, because the run went so well in like in the early portion and in the mid to late game. But yeah, that is Pokemon TCG. It's a really high action, fast paced game in terms of speedrunning it. There is I didn't really get too much into it, but the 3 different decks in this game, you get, Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. Bulbasaur, you get a Hitmonchan for free, you get the trio for free, you get plus power for free, and you kind of saw how great plus power was throughout the run. We also saw, you know, Charmander has a lot of those same qualities. You get computer search for free, so you don't need to manipulate the RNG to try to get one for free if you choose something else. You get the trio, as I mentioned, you get plus power. Squirtle, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of the great quality, but you still get Pokemon like Electabuzz and Hitmonchan, which is still good. But, you know, it might be if you're a speedrunner or if you want like a challenge, Squirtle's kind of the way to go. This has been a great showcase. I'm very, very thankful for the game community for giving me the opportunity to showcase this game. It's a lot of fun. I tell you, this game was a very popular speed game years and years ago, and it has since gotten a bit of a renaissance in the last like year or so, because this game, you can actually play this on the Nintendo Switch, on Nintendo Switch Online. So if you have a Switch and you got an account, you can play this game for free and experience the wonders and joy of this game. I run this game a lot, especially throughout this year at a lot of different marathons, and it's always a joy to get to showcase this game. If you ever want to speedrun this game or you want to know more information, we have a Discord. If you go to speedrun.com, you go to the Pokemon TCG page, which is it will have a link to the Discord. You're more than welcome to go and join that Discord if you have any questions. A lot of it's a bit of a niche speedrun game in terms of the grander picture of Pokemon speedrunning, but the people who do speedrun this game love this game. We are more than happy to answer any questions. I came into this game in 2021 having a lot of trouble just getting to like runs under an hour and 30, and look at that, 57 minutes already. So it does show that, you know, this game rewards experimentation and research ahead of time, ahead of runs, to be able to know what your opponent has in their respective decks. And this has been like such a great blessing to run. If you want to see me run this game as well as like a bunch of other categories, feel free to check my Twitch page out, which is Toronite, and I run a lot of the other games like Spyro's. Funny enough, tomorrow at noon Eastern, I will be back here and I will be running Spyro Reignited Trilogy for the PC. So if this run was any indication, I think tomorrow is going to be going. I think tomorrow is going to go pretty well. And for everyone that is watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the GGs for everyone here in chat, and thank you again to the committee for giving me the chance to not just showcase this game, but Spyro Reignited Trilogy tomorrow at noon Eastern, like I had said. And with that about does it. Thank you everyone so much. My name is Toronite, and I will see you all back tomorrow with Spyro Reignited. And go check out all the other great runs in this marathon. There's been a lot of really good runs so far, and I'm sure the rest of the runs are going to go very, very well. Okay, well, in that case, my name is Toronite. I will see you all in the next one.